you guys, this is Ashley and this is the full moon in Sagittarius reading. These cards are from my Hermetic Tarot deck. And before I get started, I just wanted to take this opportunity to first thank you guys for your continued support, for all your likes, shares, and comments. I really do appreciate those. As well, to inform you guys, those that may not know, that I am a spirit-led reader, meaning that I use these cards, numbers, different types of energies within the 3D experience to convey the messages that the Spirit has for the collective. And I'm obligated to share all the messages that the Spirit gives to me to give to you guys. And it may or may not include singular channel messages. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, so here we have the Devil card. And then we have the Ace of Cups and then the Five of Cups, okay? And so I feel like it's a choice. Okay, and I'm gonna get into that. Let me see exactly where the Spirit wants me to start with this message. Okay, so we have two different groups here. We have the Devil, and so what the Spirit is saying with this over here, this is the part of the collective. I'm gonna actually pair this with this over here with the Five of Cups. Okay, so first of all, I encourage you to go check out the video / podcast about the hierarchy of the collective, because there's 5 waves of the collective and it's 5 groups of the collective that come into union at the same time. So this is called like the twin body, or either the Christ body if you go in biblical terms. So you have the head, the arms, and the legs. And basically what's going on is that this wave of union, this wave of the collective, they're coming into union. So paired with the Devil card, this is talking about the hermaphrodite. And so the hermaphrodite is a symbol of union. It's a symbol of union in the 3D sense. Cycle passing by. I love to be outside. But anyways, okay, so this is like the symbol of the union in the physical 3D. But as well, it's the symbol of the union within oneself, where you have the feminine and the masculine energy perfectly balanced within. And that's what the Spirit is saying, that it's the collective, the wave, the 5 waves of the collective that are coming into divine union. I specifically hear some July all the way to like November for this wave, for these waves, this group of waves. Okay, now continuing on, and of course it will be emotionally, and it will be like fulfilling in many different ways. Okay, so now continuing on with the other group, the other message. So it's like a choice here. Okay, technically this card in this Hermetic deck is Scorpio and Mars, but it's also the Lord of Loss. And it's the Lord of Loss because of ego. Mars can be very egotistical, so can Scorpio. I have 4 placements in Scorpio. P.S. Okay, but anyways, it can be very egotistical. All right, it can be aggressive. And it can be narcissistic. It can be the full spectrum of narcissism. I really feel more so. So I have done a podcast a while ago over on the Patreon page, the full spectrum of narcissism, and it's a spectrum. And so basically, the two ends of the spectrum, where you have the traditional narcissist, and then you have quote unquote the victim. But both have the same attributes within their characteristics, if you really look at it. So if you take a scale and you have what they would call like the aggressive narcissist, and then you have the passive aggressive victim mentality individual, that they balance each other out. So sometimes, a lot of times actually, in twin flame relationships, you will have the traditional narcissist and then you will have the victim mentality type of individual. The same with that is iron sharpens iron. So with this relationship, it's sharpening you, it's honing you, it's getting rid of all the impurities out of you on both sides. Okay, and so with this other group, they're not getting it. They're overly in their emotions, meaning that they're wasting their energy. You see, like imagine if this was like a water fountain, that's what it's called. And you're just taking the same water and recycling it through. So what the Spirit is saying with that is like, it's just like a repetitive type of cycle going on. Going through the same emotions, same thing over and over, missing the point, missing the exit point. Okay, some have exited out of that type of energy. And then some that keep on repetitively going through this energy, going through the motion, okay? And what happens is that what the Spirit wants you to do is like to flip it this way and start to go through the revolution of evolution until you spiral up. But this group isn't getting it. And it took me a while to get it, you know, so no judgment at all, okay? And so what the devil represents, this represents the 3D suppressed mentality here, all right? This represents the veil being over the third eye. No different than an eyelid that closes your eye so you can't see. That's what's going on. Their third eye is closed. They cannot see their behavior patterns or their thought process. Okay. So I'm going to pull from my little gypsy deck. I just love this deck. This was maybe like my third or fourth deck when I started this ministry. Okay, all right, okay, all right. Oh, bam, what? And you seen I shuffled it, you know. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to be jumping back and forth between the two groups, okay? And I'm just going to roll with whatever the Spirit tells me to roll with, okay? All right, so first of all, when I seen this, I thought about adult children. I thought about, with this group B, they're missing their point. Like the only thing they can see what is around them. Imagine being a baby stuck in a crib, aka stuck in a box, the box mentality. Only thing that you can see is right in front of you. You can't look behind you. You can't look too much to the side because your consciousness is infantile. That's what the Spirit is saying. You have to raise your vibration. You have to raise your consciousness, so therefore you can see the full picture. Imagine being the baby, only seeing the crib, only seeing what's right in front of you, and being pacified. This is talking about the 3D suppressed mental. You're pacifying yourself with these excuses. I'm just going to, say what the Spirit has me to say. I'm not trying to be harsh or rude or anything. I've been there. Shoot, I'm still shedding the false layers of myself too. So don't think that, I'm just being critical or anything like that. I'm not, Okay. So with the other group, though, with this adult children, they have this mentality. They have a higher level of consciousness and higher vibration, but their mentality, as far as what I mean by mentality, like they have this youthfulness with them. They have this regenerative type of energy with them. So whatever the situation may be in the 3D circumstance, that they have this youthful look of things. So although they may have a mature understanding and a higher level of consciousness, that they continuously have this fountain of youth, if you will. They have these healing properties with them. These are, I hear, spiritually talented individuals. These are talking about starseeds. And so even group B, the other group, I had to pause. Duke woke up from his little baby nap. Okay. And they have this youthful understanding to themselves. They're able to raise their vibration very high. And like I was saying, specifically where I left off at, not saying that group B isn't starseeds. They just haven't tapped into their full potential. So this is like this group being able to tap into their full potential. Or they could be at the base of tapping at their full potential. So I feel like they're still raising their vibration, but they're on the right path. Okay. And continuing on with this union, like how I was saying, look at that. Coming into divine union. You see that? You see that card just popped out on its own. Okay. So I'm going to set this over here. All right, give me a second. So I'm going to pull from my little feather deck. And I'm going to be doing a reading, well, not really a reading, but I'm going to be doing a video, a channel message about spirit messages from feathers in the next couple of weeks. If you haven't checked out our playlist on spirit animals, go check that out, as well as our other playlist that we have over here. We have the Queen. I hear Kingdom Living and the 4 Stability. It's on the bottom. All right, the 10 of Wands. Oh, and we have here a Jack of Diamonds. Look, the same. And this comes out a lot with twin flame readings when I use these types of decks, where you will have the Queen and you will have the Jack, not the King, because the King, what I really feel like the King, normally you would think, oh, a King and a Queen, they go together. But however, like the King can be like a little pushy, can be egotistical, etc., like that. So the Jack typically represents the masculine of this deck, with the Queen. Another thing too, give me a second. Another thing too, this is talking about the rebirth of the masculine. So when you have quote unquote the Queen, quote unquote the King, ideal and what people think of a king, and how a king is supposed to rule and dictate over top of the people, or over top of the populace, or over top of his divine partner. However, the Jack is like the rebirth of the masculine, more so in tune with the feminine energy. So therefore, this is talking about the rebirth of the masculine energy. We have been talking about that. The rebirth of the masculine, the rebirth of the ego, the rebirth of the new law, grounding the new law, new earth, new Gaia. And that's what this represents, okay? It doesn't mean that either one is in rulership over the other. This is talking about a well-balanced union here. Stability, and then, of course, with divine change with the number 10 here. So I feel like this is more so like a message that will span over the Sagittarius full moon. I feel like that it will be like I hear an 𝗗𝗚𝒄𝑗. I'm not sure what that word means, but like an 𝗗𝗚𝒄𝑗. It's almost I know what that means, actually. I take that back. The spirit just showed it to me. Okay, so it's like how rare an eclipse is, but we're used to an eclipse. So we're used to union, we're used to, relationships, but however, it's an 𝗗𝗚𝒄𝑗, like a collapse of that ideal. So we may know what marriage looks like, we may know what relationships look like, but this is talking about the rebirth of that ideal, the reconstructing of this union, and of union altogether. And so it's going to be more of a well-balanced union. So like I was saying, we know about eclipses. Eclipses are rare. However, they're not that rare that we are so alarmed when we do see or hear about an eclipse. But that 𝗗𝗚𝒄𝑗, like that collapse of the ideal of a eclipse. And we do have the eclipse season coming up. I'm going to slide these over to the side. Okay. So specifically, I'm going to pull from this romantic tarot deck. And I'm just going to take this opportunity to ask you guys to first ask a question from your spirit guides pertaining to your divine union. Take a moment and pause, ask a question about your divine union, about your divine partner if you like. Okay, now I'm going to start to shuffle. So I hope that you asked your question. I hope that you asked your question. That's one card. That's another card. Okay. And then we have the one on the bottom. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Give your relationship a chance. I accidentally bent this card. All right. And healing family issues. Okay. Okay. What is that one under here? Ah, chemistry. This is talking about activating those properties within you, like the alchemist, like the divine alchemist, like the Christos energy. They have this type of magnetism within divine partners that cannot be explained. This, even if you're not a divine partner, even with just soulmates, for those that may not have like divine partnerships. This is even talking about balancing the energies within yourself to activate this change. It's like some type of new beginning, some type of new spark that is coming through. Okay, give me a second. All right. I hear divine authority. Yeah, this definitely feels like divine authority as well. This healing family issues. This is talking about the regeneration and the reactivation of the DNA. Okay, hold on. Give me a second. I hear divine leader, divine leadership. So before, with the old family structure, you had the father as the leader, the mother, partial leader, I guess, and then the children at the bottom of the food chain, I guess, But what is going on is like things are being regenerated. And in the biblical text in the New Testament, I believe, where they said that the the young will have prophecies, will give leadership and guidership to the old, in short. I'm just paraphrasing. And so that's what's happening. So you know how we have starseed children that are coming through more and more, especially with twin flames when they have their children. So we do have the regeneration and the reactivation of the DNA of family history. So it's almost like it's being rewritten. I just want to take this quick opportunity just to go into divine partners that have children. So yes, starseeds are coming in at a rapid rate now, and they have for a while. However, with divine partners that already have children, that they are in the spiritual realms. Now this may sound weird. In the spiritual realms, they are spiritually their children as well. So for example, I have children before I had my son with my divine partner. So in the spiritual realms, in the heavenly realms, they are his children as well. What happens is that some type of DNA activation will happen, and that the bonds will strengthen in the 3D realms between the children as well as with the divine partners. And in addition to that, they will have different types of DNA activations within them, activating some of their abilities that they have. Okay, so now, for example, if you do have children with your divine partner, your children already have special abilities, special gifts. And they may not necessarily have arrived as of yet in the physical, but there's a lot of eclipses that are happening, and a lot of unlocked potential is unlocking, if you will. It's being activated. This portal of energy is coming through. So we do have quite a bit of eclipses that are coming up really soon. And specifically, being that we are traveling through the galaxy, and through probably even through another galaxy altogether, our solar system is traveling pretty much. And in addition to that, our Earth, almost like a spaceship, is moving through our galaxy as well. So we're headed towards, we're sandwiched in between Saturn, the first sun, the black sun, and then between what they call the sun, as well as you have other stars such as the dog star that's affecting and blasting our planet with energy. So with these eclipses that are coming through, they're not regular eclipses like how I was saying. We are used to eclipses. Although they may be rare, we're still used to eclipses. We're used to the ideal of eclipse. However, with these super eclipses, maybe that's a better word for them, that a lot of activation is happening. A lot of solar activity, as well as, like I was saying, that the karmic burning is speeding up. Time is speeding up altogether. And this came through in that first reading I was telling you about that I accidentally erased. But it was so layered. So much information was coming through that it was almost like a series. You would have to go back like from last year when I was talking about the 717 portal. Another activation is opening up with the 717 portal, which is 7, the number of angelic, divine, and celestial interaction and communication. And specifically with the number 717 is the communication between the twins and the balancing out of that communication, interaction, and activations with them. So even in the 3D experience we have over here, the number 6, which is the number of ego, and what the Spirit is saying, though, that this ego is being broken down, okay? That third eye is being revealed behind the veil. For those that were stuck at the veil is being removed so you can go into what they call the Holy of Holies, which is the higher realms of consciousness. If you have not checked out the Twin Flame Starseed Bible studies, I encourage you to do so. It's not traditional, okay? I'm gonna pull from this deck. So a lot of activations are coming through. There are some angels that are associated with these Hermetic tarot decks, but they weren't relevant to this reading, okay? They weren't relevant, but I will list them down below, specifically with this card. I'll list them. Just check in the description box, okay? Okay, all right. We have the 9 of air, the 9 of water, the 10 of water. Let me turn them this way. Expecting the worst, self-fulfilling prophecy, sleepless nights, 9 of air. Yeah, that communication. All right, 9 of water. Your wish comes true. Concerns fade away. Love of life. All right, like how I was saying, like these choices here. You have choices. Oops, it's actually this way. You know, we have here the Lord of Loss in pleasure. In pleasure, think about pleasure. Pleasure is an emotional experience. Emotion is energy emotion. So you can control that energy. You can harness that energy, like how I was saying, you know, with these divine partners that are stepping into their divine authority. They're able to harness that energy and transmute it. So go into this cup, the 10 of water. A contented and rewarding family life. Your emotional and material needs are met. Trustworthy relationships. Isn't that beautiful? And look, right in the middle, smack dab in the middle here with this Ace of Cups. Look at that. Abundance of joy. You know, it says both your relationships, how the way you relate, first of all, to yourself, and then to those that surround you, to your environment, as well as material needs. I can feel that. Shoot, let me get some of that. And then look on the bottom what we have here, the Ace of Earth. Ace of Earth, the inflow of abundance, a promising business venture, important documents or contracts. Okay, actually this came out in the Feminine Fridays. This right here came out in the Feminine Fridays. If you haven't checked that reading out, go check that out. It was like a little short, little reading. I was trying to get this card out at the very bottom here. The number 25, desire, fun, fulfillment, joy, passion. Once again, this is saying the same thing here with this passion. This is talking about working with your energy, being balanced in your energy. Oh my goodness, I feel it. Especially when I looked at that very soon. It may be upside down, but that's, dang, look at this though. Look, for us that have been starting on our spiritual careers, yes, it is a career, it's a ministry, it's a business, yes, and it needs to be taken as so. Nothing lighthearted, all right? And it's connected to our heart, our passion, our zeal, that we have had to sacrifice some tangible means in many different ways in order to bring in the overflowing of abundance. And I'm not just talking about tangibly, I'm talking about emotionally. Like, I am so connected to this ministry, it's like in my veins. And I feel like some of us, we have started that. Regardless if you're just studying or you're just planning your ministry, aka your business or your career or whatever it may be, but it has a spiritual attachment to it. Here we have, where did that card go? Yeah, like contracts. This is talking about your soul contract, fulfilling your soul contract here in the 3D physical. So for some, you probably haven't started your spiritual journey as far as fulfilling your spiritual contract, as far as fulfilling those things that are in your spiritual contract with your career. For others of us, we have started it. We have been working diligently towards that and fulfilling that contract. And now it's time to reap the reward. Whatever situation that you're in, regardless if you have embarked on your spiritual journey or either you are in the process of doing so, whatever it may be, whatever the situation is, keep going. You know, keep going, because it definitely will pay off. We see that here in the cards. And the cards is nothing but a symbol and a physical, tangible explanation for what the Spirit has for you, okay? This is no different than if you had a Bible. That's the way the way I view it. And I am going to do a video about that, how it's synonymous, okay? You can't limit the divine source to just one thing. The divine source is divine, so therefore, you know, everything is interconnected. You think about a vine, it's all connected, all right? So let me see what else the Spirit has to say. Okay. You know, some may not believe that this will happen in a 3D experience. When I looked at this card, I use these cards sometimes for manifestation techniques, and that's candle wax that got on his face. Sorry about that, buddy, but I can still read you. With this healing family issues, I hear Samantha. I heard this last time, Samantha. Something about Samantha or Sammy or something like that. With this healing, this family issues, it has to be done. So you think about when you go to the dentist and you have a cavity. What do? They dig the cavity out. to prevent further damage. And that's what the Spirit is doing. So you may, for whoever this is just like a singular message. It may not even be Sammy or Samantha. Whoever this may resonate with, that things may be getting thick or has been thick lately, especially with the South Node Capricorn and with Saturn all up in that area, and Pluto retrograde, all that stuff like that. This is talking about going deep and preventing future damage. And that's what the Spirit is doing, setting up things for your future, for your family's future. Your family, your future family, and their family will not have to go through what you went through. Or I even hear potentially went through. Okay? Give me a second. So things are being shifted and reorganized to bring in the life that you want. Yeah, you want this 10 of water. You got to understand, like, when we say we want something, that the Spirit hears you and it puts it immediately into action, starting in the heavenly realm, spiritual, natural, down to the physical, the plasma, all that stuff, grounding into the electric atmosphere here, the 3D. All right, and it's a process. I just did a video over on the Patreon page where I went through the process, how you know that the universe, the all, God has heard your request. How you know is that you're being tested in what you're requesting. You want this well-balanced relationship, family, material, all that stuff like that. Okay, now you're going to be tested on the material in which you said that you're learning or that you want. For example, you want to be a doctor. You're going to school, the school of life, to learn how to become a doctor. Okay, now let me test you to make sure that you can pass the test, so that way you can go be a doctor. If you catch the analogy. Okay, chilling right on over here, we have the 8 of air, an illusion of being trapped, a lack of self-confidence, afraid to take action. This is this individual right here. Okay. And I have been there. I'm afraid to take some daggone physical action because I don't know what the outcome is going to be. But you got to keep going. Whatever the situation is, keep going. The Spirit is saying keep going. You have to go through the ego death. This is also the number for DNA, action. Reorganizing the DNA. That's what the ego death does. It reorganizes the DNA. This is also the number for sacrifice. Sometimes you have to sacrifice things in order to get what you want. The Christ had to sacrifice, had to go through the ego death to activate love, unconditional love, to eradicate human judgment, to activate faith, aka the knowing, and activate the ascension process. That's what faith is, the ascension process, okay? All right, let me see what else the Spirit has. One last card. If you guys could hit the like button, share and comment, that is very much appreciated. It helps with our analytics here. Try to do as much teaching and encouragement as possible. Yes, shape shifting, that came through too, but in that last reading I was telling you about that I erased. But it was a different card though. Actually, it was that divine, it was on the front, it was on the top. Okay, well, I don't see it now, but and this is a different type of bird. I think that's a hawk. Well, it doesn't matter. It reminds me of a raven. And I just did a channeled animal spirit video about the raven, the shapeshifter. And it feels just the same. That's what's coming through. So let me clear these out right here. Actually, I think I'm gonna keep this one and keep this. So with these DNA activations, what happens when you go through like a DNA activation, your molecules within your body, they're being torn apart. They're being mutated pretty much, like boiled down so they can be reconstructed. And that's what this represents, DNA activations, aka the ego death, going back to an infantile state to be rebirthed. Think about a butterfly in the metamorphosis process. Everybody wants to be a butterfly, but they don't want to go through the cocoon phase. They don't want to go through the caterpillar phase and all that stuff like that. But you have to go through those types of, I hear, interactions to reprogram yourself. The raven is a shapeshifter, okay? They're able to go to the undergrounds to bring up new information. They can survive in extreme conditions. And I'm not talking about, this is channel information. I don't bird watch, but this is channeled information. This is what the Spirit was saying in that reading or video, whatever you want to call it, okay? And that's what the Spirit is saying. For us as a whole, as a collective, we're shape-shifting. We're changing our mental form to change our physical form. And this has been coming through for a while, maybe not with the raven energy specifically, but it's been coming through about transmutation, about transformation, about what will happen, especially with the higher up on the hierarchy of the collective that you transform to or that you ascend to, that the more that you will shapeshift and physically even shapeshift. Like, you could start off looking one way and completely physically change the way how you look, the way how you talk, the way how you act. And people will look and say, who are you? And you'd be like, yep, that's right, I'm a completely different person. And if you don't believe that, even through the natural process, I ran across this video, and the girl, she completely changed her look. Like, her face was shaped differently, but what she did is called mowing, I think that's what it's called. But anyway, she started to hold her tongue differently in her mouth and at the roof of her mouth. And what happens is that it changed the structure of her jaw, of her top part of her face, and her face looks completely different. And it was just through changing that muscle. Your tongue is a muscle. And so is faith, a muscle that you have to work on. And we're using this synonymously, like interchangeably here. You can change your physical appearance, shape-shifting, and you can change your mental attitude, your emotions, your whole 3D circumstance by transmuting your mind. The alchemical process, okay? And it's very possible. So physically, we are mutating. Physically, we are shape-shifting. Okay? All right, so with these divine ones and this portal of activity, I hear that's coming through, these eclipse season is like how I was saying with this mutation, but it's something that is different. So we have divine sun child, blessings of the sun falcon. Okay. Yeah, the rebirth of the masculine, yeah, we do see that here. But this is talking about being androgynous, and so I use that as a analogy for the inner workings, like how I was saying before with the devil card. This is talking about being a spiritual hermaphrodite, being a mental hermaphrodite, being able to see both sides of the coin, having that higher level of consciousness. This also looks like an eye. I know, right? This also looks like the eye. And what do you see? The filter, your lens. I did a channeled reading on the Patreon page I think it was like earlier this week or something like that, in which the Spirit is saying that you're a portal. And so it's not about the light that is shining through you. It's more so about the lens that is shining through. What type of, what energy are you shining and projecting onto your life, onto others in your life? This is talking about being balanced within your energy. Let me see. I think that may be it. You think so? Yeah, here we go. This is just echoing the same messages. Continue on. Yeah, right? Here, this is just an echo of the same message, okay? Just to reiterate, the Spirit is saying continue on with that passion. Don't allow it to burn out. Don't allow your candle, your light, your consciousness to burn out. Don't let it fizzle out, because it will bring great stability within yourself as well as physically, tangibly. Continue on. All right. So, yeah, I think it's over. I think I'm pretty much, yeah, here we go. It's safe for you to love. It is. It's safe for you to love. You know, start with the self-love and everything else will fall into place. Okay? That reminds me of Matthew 6. gosh, I'm not even going to try to remember the number. But first of all, I do remember it is 6. So 6 is about the ego. Seek you the kingdom of righteousness, which means higher level of consciousness, and all of these things will be added unto you. Previously in that scripture, it was saying how, not to worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's a waste of energy, because everything will fall into place if you seek you first the kingdom of righteousness, the kingdom of the divine. And what is divine? The higher level of consciousness, and seeking your divine will. What is your will? Aligning with your higher self to receive that information on what you're supposed to be doing, and everything else will fall into place. I will have that scripture down here in the very bottom, so you guys can look it up. But I'll do a Twin Flame Starseed Bible study on that real soon to further explain that. The entire biblical text is about energy and about self-mastery, okay? All right, so if you like this reading as well as the other material that we have over here, I encourage you guys to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you can receive notifications when we go live and post new information. We are an eclectic bunch over here. We are into raising our vibrations, and it comes through the modality of tarot. It comes through the modality of biblical texts and other text studying and all that good type of stuff. You can find the links to personal readings down below if you're interested in joining the Patreon family, free monthly readings, as well as other information over there. That link is also down below, okay? And I can feel this definitely really strong. It's okay to have a guard up, and I use that very loosely, to discern. That's a better word for it. When you have had situations, even if you haven't had situations, just to be cautious, just to evaluate a situation before getting into a situation. We have here, let me pull that card back up. A marriage is a covenant. So yes, nowadays we can sign contracts and we can renege on those contracts, and there's no big penalty. However, if you really study like the texts and stuff, they took that seriously. When you said something, your word is your bond. That is like a covenant. It's beyond a contract. And that's what the Spirit is saying with this divine partnership, a soul contract, okay? And so when your divine partner comes to you, or anybody even for that matter, that you will have the ability to know if it's safe for you to proceed with whatever the situation may be, or that you need to hold back. And that's what the Spirit is operating within you, to have that spirit of discernment, to have that energy of discernment. All right, so it will be safe, a safe environment for yourself as well as for others. So, let me see. Yeah, so when it's time for divine union, it won't be no holding back. You don't have to hold back. We have here let go of control issues. That's what holding back is. You can be fully your awakened self, and your divine partner can be fully their awakened self, which is the compatibility. Yeah, okay, you ready? All right. So you guys, this is Ashley as well as Duke. Yeah, it's you. Yeah, you smiling. All right, we talk to you guys later. All right, peace.